more good news out there in general. And I think that's what tonight's festivities are about. Good news and the important work that all of you do, how important it is, how much it helps this city, and everybody from families to children. So tonight, I said the theme of the night is just good news and honoring everybody. I grew up myself, somebody who was very much influenced by the Archd.AVI of Chicago. Grew up down in Mount Greenwood, that's a suburb of Beverly for you Northsiders. Went to St. Christina Grammar School, all my brothers and sisters did. Went there for 4 years, and then St. Catherine Grammar School, and then St. Lawrence High School. My father had gone to De La Salle, my mother to St. Thomas Aquinas, and it was very, very important that we went to Catholic schools. Even going to high school was so important that we went to St. Lawrence, or I went to St. Lawrence, even though we couldn't afford it at the time. Tell you a little bit about my story through the Catholic schools. Unfortunately, my parents had gotten divorced just before I went to high school. And you can imagine a kid at that age, my mother had to go to work, my father was out of the house, and I'm sure those of you who teach, that's such a common story now with kids that you deal with. It leaves a lot of idle time, to get in a lot of trouble and do a lot of things, but I managed mostly to stay out of trouble, and I think part of it was just a good message of doing the right thing that I would get in schools. And, that little bit of fear factor of what might happen at school if you messed up. Somebody like a Brother Ford who used to be in St. Lawrence, pretty intimidating. That, most of my friends went to Catholic schools and just kind of managed, even though, I had all the idle time, kind of stayed on the right path, was able to go through college and get a good education, and I owe all of that to the Catholic schools. I think the biggest influence, I could say, the Catholic schools and church had in our family, though, would have to be with my father. He grew up in Bridgeport, went to De La Salle High School, and he was the one, more than anybody in our family, to make sure that we were grounded in the church and all went to Catholic schools. And I think his story really can show what the Catholic Church and the schools can do for someone. After my parents got divorced, he went through a little bit of a downtime and just things were lost for him. He got separated from his family, had lost his job a bit, and didn't have a stable place to live. But the one thing he had the church and he had his belief in God. And through those two things, and he had been a part of St. Christina Church through 40 years, he was able to meet a priest there and get some counseling, and that helped. Through the Parents Without Partners in St. Christina, he met his wife Irene, who's here tonight, and she is so grounded in faith and the church, and the two of them together, that it just really helped to the point, not only could he recover from what he was going through, but became an inspiration and just a source of helping other people, guiding other people. He ran meetings at the church, he was an usher, was in the choir, and just had it not been for the church, maybe things had gone a different way, but he kept his faith and he kept his beliefs, and that really